Welcome back to the Food Network channel.
Where I'm gonna whisk some reels.
We got Rachel Ray, we got Martha Stewart.
You're 70 now?
Yeah.
I don't know. Rachel Ray seems like an interesting choice.
Here. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. We are deconstructing and reconstructing some stuff and also potentially upgrading something. I don't know if you guys have thought about doing this, but there are many companies out there that are supplying aftermarket attachments, accessories, etc., upgrades for reels. Like any reel.
I wouldn't even say many. There's like a limited number. We tried to find more. It's like a limited number of companies.
Well, it depends on what you want.
Yeah. So
specifically.
This is, I think, one of the most popular options for folks to make an upgrade. So this is Speed Spool. They make bearing kits for almost any brand out there, from the highest of the high down to what we're going to see in a second, which is...
Don't show them yet.
We're going to see in a second, which is like a lower end cost as well. But it's a really pretty quick and easy way, relatively inexpensive, 30 some bucks-ish, depending on the kit, for you to make a pretty sizable upgrade to your reel. We did a video on this like a couple of years ago, I think it was, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
I have it right here. If you guys want to go back in the archive, you can see the old SLX get its upgrade because we did some speed spool bearings in this, and I want to say it came out really, really nice. It's like super smooth, kind of sounds like and feels like you're running skateboard bearings in your reel. But I did get this on the water. I did get a chance to fish it a whole bunch.
So for me though, I've never used one before, and I had kind of had this thought in my head, like, what if you took a relatively inexpensive reel and you pumped some you pumped some features into it, right? Put some aftermarket parts in there.
And what we did is we took the cheapest reel that we could find that was compatible with at least more than one part, this being the second part.
Here's the other part that I think a lot of folks may have stumbled across. I'm trying to make sure this is focused. This is a Gomexus reel handle. This is a reel handle kit, so it comes with the knob as well as the reel. I went with the 100 millimeter, I think it was. 105 is about as big as it gets. So what are you getting when you buy a handle like this? You're getting more power per turn. You might be getting a little bit of a comfort, and certainly aesthetically, you're getting a big upgrade too. So these range anywhere from, I think this is one of the cheaper ones,
20 to
29
80,
to like $100-ish dollars. Again, this would be something where if you had they have like cork grips, they have all different kinds of different types of metal for the handle, and again, different sizes. Usually, and you can see right here, 90 to 105 millimeter is your size. So another way to upgrade a reel. Also, another thing about these, they go on a lot of different brands. So I think this specific one, the color match was for the reel that we bought, but certainly can work for all Luz reels, works for a lot of different Shimano's, and a lot of different brands that are out there in general. So sometimes you can move it around to different, reels if you wanted to.
So here's what's on the docket for today. We're gonna warm ourselves up by doing actually a couple of reels that need to get maintenance. So we're gonna do a lightning fast maintenance on them, and then we're going to upgrade the cheapest reel that we could find that I'm going to show you in just 1 second here. And then we're going to compare that upgrade to two reels that are in the $100 to $150 range. The most notable would probably be the Shimano SLX. That's $99. We're going to take a reel that came in at $40 and try to give it the Fast and Furious tune-up kit treatment.
The full Vin Diesel. And we're going to see if it can compare to like an SLX at like $100, or maybe, I don't know if it's possible, or maybe it's something that's like 150 plus. So these are around 175. This is the tournament, Luz Tournament MP, one of my favorite reels in the sub $200 category. We're going to see if it can compare or not.
No promises, but
none whatsoever. But we're going to see where it stacks up.
Just like Dom's got family.
We now have a family of reels.
We now have a family of reels.
First, let's get to the cleaning.
While we're at it, what we're going to do is we're going to clean up just 2 reels that I haven't gotten to yet.
And a couple of mine.
And a couple of his, which is 15 more reels. Anyways, so we got a Komodo SS from Akuma that put quite a bit of time on the water last year, so that needs some help. And then my broken Hakai.
It really needs some TLC.
Missing tooth there. It's pretty sad. This is probably my most used reel last year. It had an entire season under its belt, so it needs some help. So what we're going to do is we're gonna angle the camera down here, because I get yelled at for that all the time if we don't do that. So we're gonna angle it down, give you guys a good top level view of this, and we're gonna be using this pretty slick kit from Abu Garcia. So if you guys haven't picked up something like this, there's a few kits on the market. Most of the stuff is like buy it by yourself, figure it out. But this is a nice travel kit, I think. So you got like your degreaser cleaner there, you got your grease, you got your reel oil, you got a wrench, you got a little cleaning pick / brush, and then you got a screwdriver over here, which are the only tools you really need kind of universally sized stuff on all these reels. And you even get like a little cleaning rag.
The chamois.
Sham wow.
Sham what?
Wow.
That's a sham what? It's not a sham wow.
Sham what?
A sham what?
What? All right, so we're gonna play around with that, clean some stuff up. What kind of reels do you have to clean?
I've got 7 or 8 reels that I could do. We'll probably do the 1 or 2 worst of the worst.
Yeah.
But we'll just show you one. I mean, the idea is while we'll kind of
What's the
time lapse this bad boy, we'll tell you the process.
After that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take
Upgrade
this and this, and we're gonna upgrade this.
The Cast King Royal Legend 2 coming in at $40, 2-day shipping from Amazon. Yeah. It seems unreal. I mean, I know they put it right on the box, okay? It says, what does it say? Affordable innovation, right on the box.
Surely is.
It's incredibly affordable. That is very inexpensive.
So have you had a Cast King reel before?
I've had one. It's the BFS. It was donated to me, and that's the only one that I've ever used. And I used it quite a bit because I was practicing my ultralight flipping.
I have had several, and I honestly haven't been a fan of a single one. No. So it's got a clicky knob.
We like the click knob.
So yeah, this was the cheapest one that we could find that was still compatible with more than just the bearings. We wanted like handle bearings. Honestly, we wanted more. But you got to basically buy a $200 reel and then do upgrades, which I don't think so.
And again, there's not much out there. I mean, if you go out, these are the 2 companies that are making aftermarket components. I think it's probably a gap. I mean, realistically, it's probably a gap. I understand that doing side plates and some of that other stuff is probably difficult and expensive, and you got to make a custom one for every single brand out there. But I was surprised at how many things you couldn't go buy. Yeah,
there was a lot of lacking here. So, I mean, I'm going to give you this in a second. We're going to go first looks at this before we dive in, right? So first, right out of the box, there we go. That is the Royal Legend. Give you guys a quick peek. Kind of a super basic standard reel, I would say. Not bad on the looks. It's a little, glossy because it's more of this plasticky feel.
Yep.
This is the issue that I have had with a lot of the Cast Kings in the past. Like we get a lot of this like plasticky outer versus you get something like a Luz, you get like your Komodo. It's like that kind of just a metal, better feel exterior.
The fit and finish is light plastic versus more dense graphite or aluminum.
Yeah. Even to the Hakai, like the outer section here is more of that like matte finish, more comfortable material. Feels higher quality.
The Hakai has a metal frame. It has a super light metal magnesium frame.
This is how you're saving on the money.
The SLX is a $100 reel, and it's got an all aluminum body, and you get a super heavy duty, everything made of metal on the Komodo. And the same thing with the Tournament, aluminum body, a couple plastic components, but really you're getting the metal body there. So this is a huge step down in terms of a lot of the components. But again, it's like, okay, if I spend $40 on a reel, that's pretty serviceable. And I will say, these more inexpensive reels are typically produced in the same factories that a lot of these more expensive reels are produced in. So you can get a lot of quality components. They're engineered pretty well. They're produced in a high quality factory, and you only spent $40. So if I take that $40 and I say, okay, that's significantly cheaper than a lot of these other options, and I add the speed spool bearings, and I'm adding the Gomax's handle for this is 30, right? And this is 30, and this is $25. So I'm adding $50 some. So I'm like at 100 or less. Does it compete with like a more expensive reel? Yep.
So you got your standard mag brake system. There's your magnets right there. Got our spool system in there. You're definitely going to want to throw down some tape or a backer line on that. You're going to get some slippage. Pretty standard interior you're going to see on any reel, really. And
foam handles, which I do like these ones. I've become more of a fan. They're just not quite as big as some of the other ones that I've used.
I do like the foam handles. This is the Komodo handle right here, and this is the Cast King. Little dinky ones for like big hands like this guy has. Not ideal, but manageable.
And we're comparing 3 different types. So you get the combat rubber. You get the combat knob from the Luz, and then you get the very standard knob from the SLX from Shimano, and then you get this is my personal new favorite, the round foam on the Hakai.
And notice all of those that we just showed you, they're all oversized, which is more comfortable, better for the grip. More power.
Prepare.
Got your basic star drag system on this.
Seems light and loose.
And there is also kind of a a little clicky knob.
I like the click knob.
Right? I like that they included a click on there. That's kind of cool.
I don't know if you really get a choice. I want to feel the angle of the button. That's a big deal for me. So this one feels high.
Put it back together.
Yeah, this one feels.
So you can feel
This one feels high. It doesn't feel. I know. I'm just getting a. It's not bad.
It's pretty weighty too.
It's not bad. It does. It has a good chunky weight to it.
You get lighter weight, smaller profile with more expensive reels. Is kind of like what you got to expect.
But I don't hate it. I mean,
switch is kind of buried back here, which is kind of cool. It's smooth.
That's nice.
Yeah. Give her
Not
a go.
bad. All right.
Give her a go.
This is the Debo test?
The Debo test is the overcrank.
I haven't had it.
It's a little loose.
It does feel like it's so when it goes side to side.
It's got a little shakiness.
Which is not abnormal. I've got nothing super bad. I would agree with Jeff. The whole outer body, one, it's really smooth.
Feels like a $40 reel.
It's going to get scratched. It feels like it's $50, $60 reel. It feels relatively smooth. When I do the old, not bad. Do the bearing test. So this is one thing like you'll see a lot of people on like the televisions do. You'll give this the old spin as fast as you can, and then you'll click the button to let it roll. And you're just trying to see how long that bearing can hold out on its own.
Not very long.
Not very long.
Well, we haven't greased it or anything yet.
Respectable out of the box. The gearing looks nice. I like the vertical oval shape of the line guide.
Oversized, which is similar to a lose.
And then you're getting the external adjustment, which is, I think, for a lot of people, a nice thing to have. You don't have to pop this open to change your mag adjustment. Right. So overall, I do think this is higher than what I like, because it tends to, when the button, I'll try and come over here. This is a personal choice thing, but when the button angle here is a little bit higher rather than lower, I find myself knuckling here rather than button and moving back and forth. Yep. Preference thing, 100% preference. What got me looking for that other button was the Concept A2 from 13 Fishing. Really low profile, leaves a lot of room for your thumb to actually engage with the spool directly, which I personally like. Yeah. Again, it's just a preference thing.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clean up a couple reels, just kind of get ourselves loosed up, ready to rock, and then we're going to crack that bad boy open and upgrade it. So products we're using today for cleaning, greasing, and oiling is we got some Abu Garcia grease, we got their Precision oil, we got our degreaser cleaner. That's for the old dirty reels that we're gonna be looking at.
Break everything up before you start greasing and doing your oil.
But I actually have some other options because Ardent is actually like a big brand in cleaning and oiling and greasing too. So we got the Ardent Real Clean, we got the Real Butter Real Oil, and we got the Real Butter,
the Bud,
Real Grease. On Amazon, I think you guys are gonna like. But if you're cleaning up your pews, you can pick up something like this. It's pretty heavy duty mat, something you can hang up. Also comes in a carrying case that you could use, and it's flexible silicone. You've actually got some magnets right here as well for those smaller metal parts. I know for a fact I lost a spring for my SLX and I had to order one.
Still somewhere in your old house on the floor.
These guys sell those springs now, by the way, because enough people have dealt with what
a lot of the different pieces actually. So if you like that,
so check this out if you want. It's just look it up on Amazon. So I looked up a pew cleaning mat on Amazon. You're gonna laugh every time I say it.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna cackle.
I looked up a pew cleaning mat.
Say it.
Say it with your chest. So I looked up a pew cleaning mat, you know what I mean, on Amazon. This one came up. I think it was $15-20.
So if you wanted to save yourself, if you have kids, this is a lunch mat. This is like a kid's lunch mat. It does have the raised edge. It is super sticky. I have a slick version of this one because this one is like a little bit stickier. I have a slick version of this one that I actually use when I do my fly tying, and then I use the sticky one when I'm doing stuff like this, where if it falls, I don't want it to go anywhere. These are like $3. So and they come in like 5 packs. Right. So if you wanted a cheap version, these things are great, and they come in like standard dinner lunch sizes, which is like maybe an inch thinner than this one. So this one versus that one, they're both good, but if you want the cheapo, I mean, this is what I'm doing. All
right, so first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna clean up this Komodo. So I'm gonna walk you guys through, give it a quick little wipe down. You can use the degreaser or the Real Clean if you got any like gunk, kind of like gunking up the gears or on the inside or anything like that. And then what I also like to do is take this little brush here and just dust off, you get that kind of debris buildup from braid, from if you're fishing, frogs and you're in the swamp, whatever, you get all that like algae buildup. You're gonna brush all that off. And, first things first, make this easy, we're just gonna take this thing apart. So let's go. All right, so first up we got Paul's Komodo SS, and She dirty?
It needs help.
She
a
dirty.
lot of help.
She needs some help. So we're gonna speed this up, but I'm gonna walk you guys through. We're just gonna open her up, take the spool out. I'm gonna hit all the bearings with this reel butter from Ardent. I'm gonna give that a shot this year. I wanna see how that goes. I used this a bit last year. I was a pretty big fan. I wanna see how this one does in comparison. So we're gonna see how that goes. Then we're gonna slap a little bit of grease on all of the gears. So you guys just kind of follow along with that. Here we go. So we're hitting this with a degreaser. What we did is we sprayed it on a Q-tip, and then we're gonna just kind of gently try not to get, you know, the cotton swab stuck in these gears. But this worm gear, Paul has the grease has turned black. I don't know about you guys. I'm no chemist, but I don't think that's a good thing.
It's good. That means I used it.
That's what it means. It means it costs some fish.
And it also means that it needs new grease.
So it's about that dirty. It's pretty dirty. So we're gonna clean this off. It's gonna take me a minute. All right, so we got that clean. We're gonna tap that with that reel butter grease. I like to hit 3 spots and just work it through. So do 2, and then I'm gonna hit 1 more on this side. You're welcome, bruh.
The butter.
The butter. Then you churn the butter. Then you churn the butter. There's Paul's Komodo.
All right, so that's it for the cleaning. That was just like a quick tutorial, something to help you out if you've never cleaned a baitcaster before.
Here's my cleaning glasses.
And show you a couple of examples. Now we're gonna get to the comparison. So we already talked about the Cascading Royal Legend 2, so now I'm gonna take it apart and I'm gonna put in the bearings, and then I'm going to pop the handle off and I'm gonna put on the Gomexus handle. And then we're gonna do a quick comparison between this one and the other ones that we brought and let you know if we think that it has place or not. We'll do it. All right, so here's your reel. Exactly as it comes out of the box. We're gonna start by doing the high-speed bearings from Spool Speed. And you'll see right here it says easy install videos. This doesn't come with instructions, but you can certainly look them up. I did look them up. There are a ton of videos, one for each specific model. We're not gonna use any of that at all. We're gonna just totally wing it and see what happens. So if you think that that's the mount for you, you can see how it turns out.
Classic aggressively average anglers.
Step 1, open these aggressively. There's a lot of small parts, be careful, just joking. So instead
Do you want me to look it up?
Instead of looking at any of the videos, I'm just gonna take the main plate off, guessing that that's where they're from, and I'm gonna look for bearings that look exactly the same. That's what I'm gonna do. Jeff is over there looking at a video.
What a nerd.
Pretty aggressive of him. So how am I gonna get this main plate off? I've never actually taken one of these plates off before, but you see a big screw here and a big screw here. I'm feeling like that's gonna be at least the start of it. And it looks like there's a couple right here and here. So let's start taking this apart. All right, so I think we're finally...
Yep.
Okay.
Look at that.
Jeff has abandoned me, so it is now, but it's 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and I'm gonna continue on this hilarious journey where I explode this reel for no reason at all. So I'm gonna abuse this thing for about a half hour. I'm gonna figure out where all these bearings go, and then I'll see you on the other side. So there's a little wire that's holding that bearing in there. So I'm gonna pull that bearing, I'm gonna take the spring out, I'm gonna pull the bearing out, then I'm gonna replace it with a new one. And I did add a tool that we had not been using, which is a very tiny screwdriver set. So I'm gonna see if I can use this to get this done and not lose anything. Well, that popped out super easy. It stuck to that magnet, which is crazy. So there's one bearing successfully removed. So let's set this guy off to the side here. Then we're gonna replace it with one of our ceramics. Now, these do come with them some shields. I think these are for salt water, so I'm not gonna worry too much about, well, at all about those because we don't have a saltwater reel. So I believe this is gonna be our replacement. New bearing is in. Easy peasy, not so bad. So that is what is holding that bearing down and keeping it in place, that little wire. There's tension, so as you squeeze that together, so just gotta slide this over the top and make sure it's perfectly in place. This should be a little tricky and hilarious to watch probably. We'll see how it goes. And it's like getting pulled into the magnet, which is kind of funny. And by funny, I mean annoying as heck. All right, I believe we are back. It is set. That was tricky, not gonna lie, but we got it. So it's 1 out of 3. The next bearing we're gonna replace is right underneath here. So you can see that ball bearing right there. So I have to take this pin out, and then I've got to just slide the bearing off. This is the place where you want to be extra, extra gentle. You don't want to damage this pin at all. You don't want to bend, mar, scratch anything. You will ruin the performance of a reel, guaranteed. So be as gentle as possible, getting that T-pin, that cross pin, getting that out of there. It's tough. So you can see I've got it mostly out. It's getting that last little bit that's going to prove to be tricky here without breaking anything. Well, that did it. Not quite as careful as I wanted, but that pin looks to be in just fine shape, so we did it. So now that we've got that pin out of there, that bearing should, oh, not that one. That bearing, yeah, it's coming right off. Yeah, I'm trying to be super gentle here. I don't want to ruin anything. These bearings may go back on for another reel later. So there, popped right off. Piece of cake. So this is your new ceramic bearing. This is your old greasy bearing. And we'll see how it goes. There you have it. New one's on. Now we're gonna very gently push our pin back in. Let's get the soft end of the screwdriver. Just giving it some light taps. It's working its way down there. And we're back. Check it out. Looks pretty good to me. Might even it up a little bit, tap that side real quick. But that looks pretty darn good. I'm actually pretty happy with that. So that's 2 out of 3 down, 1 more to go.
We've changed places. Where are we now?
We're not where we were.
My house. All right, so this was the easiest project you've ever done, yeah?
I've done easier projects.
This was not an easy project.
I will say, so the reason we're in a different place is because, one, Jeff had to leave halfway through. So I finished the install on the bearings.
I'm the quitter.
Yeah, it's your fault. So I finished the install of the bearings. I was left with an extra bearing. Now, when you go into Spool Speed's site, a lot of these kits are meant to maybe cover 2 or 3 or 10 different models.
Yeah.
In this case, we're on the lower end, the very bottom end of the Cast King spectrum.
Yep.
And so I didn't have a place for that third bearing that you saw, that third ceramic bearing. And I explored the reel very thoroughly, looking to see like, hey, did I miss one? I actually used the diagram, which is very useful. So you have an exploded diagram of the construction of the reel, which we relied on heavily.
Yeah.
And I looked to see where all the bearings were. I checked and checked and checked and checked. And I was like, none of this bearing doesn't fit any of those bearings. So then I gave up. I got tired. Put everything back together without that one bearing. I was like, Jeff and I will look at it later. So we looked at it today. Put everything back together, took it apart, put it together, took it back apart, put it together wrong, put it together wrong, put it together wrong, put it back together, took it apart, put it together wrong. You get the idea. It was actually really challenging to mess with, but I will say this. Going through that and the end result was there was no place for that bearing. So that bearing is just used for higher end models. Again, this is the Royal Legend 2, the $40, I mean, it's the cheapest one they make. So there's an extra bearing in there that is not used in this model. So that's what we learned.
Yeah. It's in here somewhere. But essentially, if you get the Cast King 3-pack, this is the base level, and you use the seals. It says seals for salt water only. We didn't need those, obviously. We didn't grease them because we wanted them to be faster. Didn't care if they were quiet or not. gives you the 3 different sizes of bearings that you're getting. And yeah, just it is what it is. At the lower end side, you just have no place for that bearing.
And you're just left sort of figuring out, okay, this bearing goes here because it's the only one that probably fits, and then you just keep doing that until you put it back together.
One issue I'll point out is that Spool Speed does have some, and I say some liberally, videos on their website that will tell you like where to put these bearings. Unfortunately, some of them are really old videos. Some of them don't apply at all to the bearing set that maybe you're buying. They're at a point where they're releasing so many sets of bearings that they don't have videos on how to do it, nor do they have instruction manuals that I can find easily, right? If they do exist, and you guys know where they are, awesome. Hit us up in the comments below. I'd love to see it.
I'll tag that library all day.
I couldn't find a single video going through the Royal Legend. So we made this up as we went, essentially. And the exploded diagram was a lifeline that we had to keep referring back to.
If I didn't have that,
we wouldn't be
I don't know if we'd be here. So we did put it back together correctly, finally. I'm 100% certain that it's put together the right way and it's working as it should. Those bearings made a pretty big difference.
So here's the old handle, right? We went ahead and we popped that off. We tossed on the Gomexus handle.
Yep. So this is a 100 size Gomexus handle. It is made for, I think, all Lew's, some Shimano, a lot of Shimanos,
a wide breadth,
and then Cast King.
brands.
The color for this one is actually, I picked it because I'm probably going to keep this handle on a couple of other reels, and gray / this color, whatever is clear, was going to fit the most. It also doesn't look too bad on here, but they actually have one that's where these like gummy handles are red,
and they
match the exact red of the Cast King. But I went with this one. I think it looks pretty good. But again, a longer handle gives you a little more power, and it's going to let you pick up your rate of retrieve a little bit faster. So that's where the handle's coming in. And then I will say, Jeff, you'll have to let me know your opinion too, but it did make a pretty big difference swapping out the bearings. These are really smooth. And what the bearings are doing for you? With a smoother bearing, obviously you're getting a smoother retrieve, but you're going to be able to cast lighter things with much more, a higher degree of control, and you're going to get farther casts because you're getting a smoother bearing. So that's what you're getting with your $30 purchase of a Spool Speed.
Yeah. So that was pretty solid. The Gomexus handle was amazing value, I would say, for 20 bucks. It's super solid. The knob bearings are much nicer, so it's a really like smooth feel as you're reeling it. So I'd say that was worth it. The Spool Speed bearings, they're not that expensive. So if you want to make an upgrade to just about any model, I'd recommend, like our purpose of this, I would say, is can you take, this is the question we asked at the beginning of the video, $40 reel and make it a $100 reel? I think the answer is no.
The answer is definitely no.
The answer is a definitive no, you can't.
Which is...
You can improve it, but it's going to go from a $40 reel to a $60 reel at best.
I think this could more closely compare or compete with, we'll say, a Max X, right? The Nava Garcia Max X.
Sure.
I will say this, if you took a Max X and you did the same thing, I think...
You're in SLX XT territory.
The only problem with that is the aluminum frame you're really going to miss, and I think that's still a separator. If I've had this problem, and I did I think a tense comparison last season between graphite frames and aluminum frames, and was really trying to focus, like, what is the difference when you get a big fish or you get a big hook set? I can feel the reel flexing as I'm working that fish, and it is...
With graphite?
Yeah, with graphite, and it's very noticeable. So... My personal opinion is, unless you're a bank angler and you already have these reels and you're on a tight budget and you're like, I really want to upgrade. I only use 2 setups, maybe 3. This is a good route on cheap reels. I do think you're going to be really happy. But still, between $25 or $30 handle and $30 or $25 for Spool Speed, you're talking about $70. You could go get a Max X or what's the step up, the Max
Pro Max?
The Pro Max, which I think would be worth it. So my recommendation would be get the $100 reel, save your pop bottles, like go do that, and then maybe a year down the road or next season, go ahead and make the upgrade. And you're talking about, I think, a much higher value, which, Jeff, you did that on the SLX.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. We'll do a little speed comparison here, right? So took the SLX. You guys can see this video. It's early on, maybe 2 years ago I made this video, but we took the SLX, ramped it up. This is no shield, no grease on those bearings, and they're pretty smooth. Again, without the grease, you're getting a little bit louder. This one's actually like not too loud. Like it's pretty quiet. But you know, if we do the typical test, right? So you just take your knob and that just rotates and rotates and rotates and rotates. Pretty smooth. So a little quick comparison, this to that, right? So there's that one. And you can time it yourself at home or watch the timestamp on the video. And then this one. There you go. So pretty smooth, pretty good improvement, right?
Huge improvement.
So we did them side by side. It was what, 4 seconds?
4-second difference between the $40 upgraded versus the SLX also upgraded.
Right, so the SLX did win by 4 seconds. If you do the same kind of spin, hit the knob at the same time, and then just wait, it just goes on.
If you do the same deal here though, so this is a $180 reel.
That's straight out of the box, no improvements.
No improvements at all.
And it's pretty close to the SLX.
Oh, I think it's right on there. And even just running it, it's crazy.
It just goes.
It's really good. So I don't know, man.
It wins on that alone.
Oh yeah, let's do them side by side right here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's crazy.
Right? That's absurd.
Now, $180. So not cheap, but you get the idea. You certainly get what you pay for. That you can upgrade. I plan on, actually, this is the reel I'm probably going to put those GoMexus handles on. So I'm probably going to get.
So put that on
You'll get
there.
even more power because of the longer handle and a little bit smoother deal here. So overall, spool speed bearings.
Solid.
Worth it.
Up.
Worth it.
Always worth it. Just put them on the right reel is what we're saying. You are pretty much wasting your spool speed bearings if you put them on a sub $70.
Yeah.
That was $75 reel. It's not worth it.
I agree.
So if you're in the 75 plus range, leaning on something like an SLX, you can do a solid improvement. And like it'll give you, your castability goes way up. You can cast lighter stuff really easy. I think it's worth it in that facet. So save, like Paul was saying, save your money up and put it in, make the investment. It's always worth it. With fishing, as with anything, you get what you pay for until a certain point. So there is a lot, I feel, of diminishing returns.
Yes.
Or where it's like, should I get the $400 reel? Do you really need it? Probably not. But in that $100 to $200 range, there's quite a breadth of difference between all those reels. So consider just saving up, and then the following season, if you're like pinching pennies,
$30,
all of us are, then slap on the spool speeds. And I will also say, for all the frustrations that come out of this, mostly in this case because it's a cast king reel and it's at the lowest possible and economically, it's going to have more components that are a pain in the butt to deal with. On the mid to upper range reels, it's actually like a really fun project, an experience that I feel everybody should have.
I would agree.
You got to go through it just to see the inner workings of these reels, to get an understanding of like the bushing, pinions, bearings, where everything goes. How the thing works. Like it's pretty cool.
It's gratifying.
It is. And then you put it back together and it still works sometimes.
Usually.
But when it does, it's really cool.
Well,
so
I think
I'd recommend that to anybody.
I would actually like breaking apart this cast king and then seeing the difference between that and what's
the internals.
like the internal, like the drag system on that cast king compared to that luge is like spaceship, Ford Fiesta. I mean, it's sorry, but it really just is. I mean, that's a $200
X-Wing
difference. So
Ford Fiesta. So, final verdict. Spool speed, bearings, great. Only if you're using it for a $75 plus reel where it's actually worth it. They are wasted on anything cheaper than that. If you're getting a $40 reel, you got what you got. Like, if it's all you can afford and you have to fish right now and you can't wait to save up for it, do it. If you can wait a little bit to save up for it, save up and get a better reel.
Past that. Let's say because this is where I think it makes all the sense. If you already have a $40 or $50 reel and you're looking to take the next step, I do not recommend a handle or speed spool bearings. I don't recommend that. I would save. I would actually say, if you're already at that point where you've outgrown one of these, I would not go get a Pro Max. I would actually wait.
The next step.
I would go get an LFS or a Luz LFS or a Shimano SLX.
XT. I would recommend.
Sure, because the extra $40 in getting the bearing kit takes you to a significant jump. And a handle, I mean, you're rocking a really nice reel that I think stands up to almost any other as far as value. It'll do the job. So for $100, I would actually wait the whole season and just be upset with this reel and wait for the $100 rather than upgrade. That's the line for me is $100.
So end of the day, what this is essentially like, taking a cheap reel and trying to upgrade it. It's kind of like when you were in high school and you got your first car and it was like a 10-year, 15-year old car that was all beat up and stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna put on NOS
stereo.
Seats. and a new stereo, and I'm gonna put this steering wheel cover on. And I'm gonna make this thing look cool, but you didn't.
Two lights.
You didn't improve the car like at all.
It's kind of like it is no faster.
It looks like it goes faster.
That's fair.
But it don't.
Yep.
So hopefully at the end of the day, this video maybe saved you some time, frustration, and money from if you're considering a project like this. Our vote is don't do it. And by the way, since we're probably not gonna keep using this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna schmiv it away, and you might schwin it. You might schwin it on a schmiv away if you go to our lives.
And by might, someone is schwinning this.
So, if you did like this video, be sure to subscribe, smash that like, ring that notification bell, and come back Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern when we go live, and we continue learning things like this, where we aggressively angle ourselves through life. That's what we do, because we are the aggressively average anglers. Getting used to that line.
Aggressively angling.
Aggressively angling all day, baby. Thanks for watching, you guys. We'll catch you on the next video.
See ya.